In quantum physics, the characteristics of particles and quanta are not isolatable, given the interchangeability of their particle-wave complementarity aspects, and their field interactions via exchange of other quanta. Matter cannot be dissected from the omnipresent sea of energy, nor can we in theory or in fact observe matter from the outside. As we voyage further into the realm of the unvisualizable, in search of the grand unified theory incorporating all forces, the picture becomes increasingly holistic. The constituents of matter and the basic phenomena involved are unmistakably interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent. As Heisenberg put it, the cosmos appears as a complicated tissue of events in which connections of different kinds alternate, or they overlay, or combine, and thereby determine the texture of the whole. The universe as a whole, or reality in itself, cannot in principle be completely disclosed in physical theory. The general picture of complementarity, which applies to all scales and all times, is a complement to the incompleteness theorem, in that it provides the epistemological framework within which we can continue to better coordinate experience with physical reality, with the clear understanding that reality in itself can never be finally disclosed or defined. So simply put, the classical assumption that the collection of parts constitutes the whole has proven invalid. We now know that the properties of parts can only be understood in terms of the dynamics of the whole, and what we call a part is a pattern in the inseparable web of relations. Equally important in this discussion, the unity and difference between parts and whole on the most fundamental levels inevitably discloses complementary relationships. Wholeness requires a complementary relationship between unity and difference, and is governed by a principle of organization determining the interrelationship between the parts. This organizing principle must be universal to a genuine whole and implicit in all parts which constitute the whole, even though the whole is exemplified only in its parts. You see how the quantum physics is bringing about a totality. In other words, this is the entire universal concept, and it has definitely changed the parameters of our understanding of cosmology, as I talked about from Suskind's analysis in my last podcast. In a genuine whole, the relationships between the constituent parts must be internal or immanent in the parts, as opposed to a more spurious whole in which parts appear to disclose wholeness due to relationships that are external to the parts. Parts constitute a genuine whole when the universal principle of order is inside the parts and thereby adjusts each to all so that they interlock and become mutually complementary. The cosmos is a dynamic sea of energy manifesting itself in entangled quanta, which results in a seamless wholeness on the most primary level and in seamlessly interconnected events on any level. Page 177. Let's see. There is literally no thing that can be presumed isolated or discrete. We can infer that human consciousness partakes or participates in the conscious universe, and that the construct of the alienated mind, no matter how real feelings of alienation might be in the psychological terms, is not in accord with the scientific facts. In other words, we as conscious beings are involved in the interrelated wholeness and relationships of the parts of this universe. We are a part. What happens in our consciousness, according to David Bohm, and what happens in nature are not fundamentally different in form. Thereby thought and matter have a great similarity of order. Undivided wholeness implies that no categorical distinction can be made between the dynamics of human consciousness and those of the entire cosmos. Boy, that's breathtaking. Since the universe evinces on the most fundamental level an undivided wholeness, and since this wholeness in modern physical theory must be associated with a principle of cosmic order, or there would be no order, of course, this whole manifests order in a self-reflective fashion. In other words, it must be self-reflectively aware of itself as reality in itself to manifest the order that is the prior condition for all manifestations of being. Since consciousness, in its most narrow formulation for human beings, can be defined as self-reflective awareness, founded upon a sense of internal consistency or order, we can safely argue that the universe is, in this sense, conscious. In order to avoid this conclusion, one must deny the existence of order as well as consciousness. They are saying that with this theology of mind or consciousness, this assumes the progressive realization of the totality of the organizing principle, and we are part of that creative aspect in the universe. Human consciousness enfolds within itself the fundamental logical principle of the conscious universe, and is thereby enabled to construct a view of this universe in physical theory which describes the unfolding of the cosmic order at previous stages in the life of the cosmos. Because we are conscious and integrated into the cosmos, what they're saying is this demonstrates on the whole that the universe itself is conscious. It has to be. The logic of the situation demands it. This is fascinating. On page 180, what they say is what this situation allows, which classical physics could not, is a rational place for the mental. And it thereby demolishes the notion that the realm of human thought and feeling is merely ad hoc. Whew. Life and cognition in these terms can be assumed to be grounded in the single significant whole. The evidence for the existence of the ineffable, and mysterious disclosed by modern physics is as near as the dance of particles that make up our bodies, and as far as the furthest region of the cosmos. The results of the experiments testing Bell's theorem suggest that all the parts, or any manifestation of being in the vast cosmos, are seamlessly